Hello guys, welcome to my lecture series. Myself Pinky Bhowmik, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics, JIS College of Engineering. This is my 7th lecture. In my 7th lecture, today we are going to discuss about very famous law, Faraday's law, and also very famous equations, Maxwell's equations. First we'll discuss about Faraday's law. This is very interesting. Now there are two laws of Faraday, first law and second law. So first we'll go through the first law. The statement is given here which says that whenever the amount of magnetic flux linked with a closed circuit changes, an EMF is induced in the circuit. The induced EMF lasts so long as the change in the magnetic flux continues. Means when the magnetic flux linked with a closed circuit changes. Means here as we can see there is a magnetic bar. So due to this magnetic bar, a magnetic field will be induced around this conductor. Now when we change the position of this magnetic bar, means if we can take this bar far away from this conductor, or if we take very nearer to the conductor, then what will happen? The magnetic field will change. So that's why since the magnetic flux linked with the closed circuit changes, an EMF induced in the circuit. So due to the change in the flux, the EMF will be induced. The full form of EMF is nothing but the electromotive force. So the EMF will be induced in the circuit. The EMF lasts so long as the change in the magnetic flux continues. That means if we stop changing the magnetic field, if the magnetic bar stays at the same position, if we don't change the position of this magnetic bar, then what will happen? The change of the magnetic flux will be stopped, and that's why the produced EMF also will be stopped. So this is the first law of the Faraday. Now this is the second law. First we will have to go through the statement. The magnitude of EMF induced in a closed circuit is directly proportional to the rate of change of magnetic flux with the circuit. This is totally actually related with the first law. As I previously said that whenever the magnetic flux changes, then EMF produced. Now here by this law we can know the amount of EMF produced in the circuit. The EMF induced in the closed circuit is proportional to the rate of change of magnetic flux. Means the amount of flux changing with time will be equal to the EMF. So by the first law we can know why the EMF produced, and by the second law we are able to know about the amount of magnetic flux, amount of EMF produced, which actually produced due to the change of the magnetic flux. So this is about the first law and this is about the second law. Now what is first law and second law? The statement we know and the fact also we know. Now this is the formula. EMF, electromotive force, is equal to minus d phi by dt, where phi is the magnetic flux. Now integration over nabla cross d dot ds, this is the EMF, is equal to minus ddt of phi equal to integration over b dot ds. This is the formula of the magnetic flux. So integration over b dot ds is equal to minus dB by dt dot ds. So if we compare both sides, then what we are getting, nabla cross E equal to minus del B by del T. This is the differential form. So This is the integral form and this is the differential form. EMF equal to minus d dt integration over b dot ds. This is the integration form and this is the differential form of the Faraday's law. This thing we have to derive. Now next is very popular Maxwell's equation. There are 4 equations derived and proved by Maxwell, which actually related with the electromagnetic theory. Now what is Maxwell's equations? Maxwell's equations are a set of coupled partial equations that together with the Lorentz force law form the foundation of electromagnetism. This is the classical this actually gives the foundation of classical electromagnetism, classical optics and electric circuits. All these terms, all these things will see in the Maxwell equation, that is classical electromagnetism, classical optics, electric circuits. All this will see. This is nothing but a set of coupled partial differential equations. So let's see what is Maxwell's equation. So these are the Maxwell's equations. This is differential form, this is integral form and this is the label. Now what is the first differential equation? Nabla cross equal to minus del V by del T. E is the electric field, B is the magnetic field. Now if we take the integration both sides, then integration over E dot dl equal to minus del V by del T dot ds. This is the integral form. This is Faraday's law. Okay. Now Nabla cross H equal to J plus del D by del T. J is the current density, D is the displacement current. Now this is the integral form again, integration over H dot dl. If we do the integration both sides, then by the surface integration we can write H dot dl equal to I plus, because integration over J dot ds can give us the total current I, and del T dot ds. This is Ampere's circuital law, but this is the actually the modified Ampere's circuital law. This is the modified Ampere's circuital law. Now third one is Nabla dot D equal to rho. Rho is the volume charge density, D is the displacement current. Now if we take the volume integration both sides, then this is integration over rho v dv and this is integration over Nabla dot v dv. So by the Gauss's theorem we can write integration over d dot ds. Since Gauss's theorem states that integration over Nabla dot a dv equal to integration over a dot ds. So by the Gauss's law we can write it. Now Nabla dot b equal to 0. So if we do the volume integration both sides, by the Gauss's theorem, as I previously said, so by the Gauss's theorem we can write Nabla integration over b dot ds equal to 0. An integral form of Maxwell's equation can be found either by using divergence or Stokes theorem. As I said, this one we can write by divergence theorem, and here if we take both sides surface integration, then how we can write integration over E dot dl? By Stokes theorem. All electromagnetic waves must conform or obey the 4 Maxwell's equations. So if we go to the first, this is the Gauss's law. If we go to the third law, this is Gauss's law. Gauss's law states electric charges produces an electric field. Second is Gauss's law for magnetism. There are no magnetic monopoles. That means Nabla dot B. This is fourth equation. This is the significance of the fourth equation. Gauss's law for magnetism. There are no magnetic monopoles. Faraday's law, third equation. First equation, Faraday's law. So time varying magnetic field produces an electric field, which we can see clearly. Time varying magnetic field producing the electric field. Ampere's law, steady current and time varying electric field produce a magnetic field. That we can see clearly here. Nabla integration over H dot dl equal to I plus integration over del D by del T dot ds. So this gives us the Ampere's law, steady current and time varying electric field. So this is about the Maxwell's equation. First we have to remember this differential form as well as the integral forms, and also we have to remember the significance of each equation, what actually it says. So this is about the Maxwell's equation. Now there are more discussions about electromagnetic induction and Maxwell's equations and Faraday's law. So what is electromagnetic induction already we discussed. Now I am going to explain it by a figure. Now see, there is suppose a conductor. Suppose this is made by iron. Now a wire is there. There are suppose n number of wounds are there. Now if there is a magnet, there is a magnet. This is south pole. This is north pole. Okay. Now if you bring it closer to this conductor, then again if you means a to and fro motion, if it is here, then what will happen, the magnetic field which actually induced here on this conductor, it will be changed. So as we know that when the magnetic field is changed, then in that case electric field will be, means electromotive force will be produced, E equal to minus d phi by dt. This is called electromagnetic induction. Okay. So this is called electromagnetic induction. Now suppose this bar magnet stays at the same position, means the position will not be changed, but it will remain same. Then in that case the magnetic field will not change. That means d phi will be 0. That means electromotive force will be 0. So this is called electromagnetic induction. Now this is about the Faraday's law. Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction says that the EMF induced in a conductor, which I said in the last slide, due to a changing magnetic field is proportional to the rate of change of flux, that is E equal to d phi by dt. Now see, rotating magnet. Rotating magnet means this is a magnet. If we rotate, if we change the position or if we rotate, then the induced magnetic field will be changed. So this is the rotating magnet. Doubling the speed of the rotation will double the EMF. That is Faraday's law is shown in to be true. Means if we doubling the speed, means if we increase the speed of rotation of the magnet, then the EMF will be double. For leaving certificate physics, E equal to change in phi by time. That is final flux minus initial flux by time. This is nothing but this gives us the electromotive force. Here E is not the electric field, but this is actually the electromotive force. This is not electric field. Okay, so this is the figure, and this is Faraday, the great scientist who first discovered this one. That Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction says that the EMF, electromotive force, which is denoted with E, induced in a conductor due to a changing magnetic field, is proportional to the rate of change of flux. Now this is the rotating magnet. When the magnet will be rotated, then the magnetic flux, that is phi. Now what is the definition of phi? We discussed in my last lecture. Phi equal to B into A, isn't it? B means magnetic induction and A means area. So if we multiply them, then we can get the magnetic flux. So change in phi, that is d phi by time, means final flux minus initial flux by time gives us the electric field. Next, there is another figure of the same thing which I said. This is south pole, this is north pole. Okay. Now this is the conductor. Now, as we can see, north to south, these are the magnetic field lines. Okay, these are actually imaginary lines. Now, electromotive force will be produced. This is V. V means actually the velocity. So when it will be rotated with the speed V, then a magnetic, then electric field or electromotive force will be produced here. So that is actually shown by the figure. So in this magnetic field lines, if we apply another conductor which is rotating with a speed v, then EMF will be produced. Next, Faraday's law of induction. This is the first law. Whenever the magnetic flux linked with a circuit changes, an EMF is always induced in it. Second law, the magnitude of the induced EMF is equal to the rate of change of flux linkages. That means the first law already we discussed, that whenever the magnetic flux linked with the circuit changes, an EMF is always induced in it. If the magnetic flux does not change, suppose the rotation means the velocity of the rotation v is 0, then in that case the induced EMF will be 0. On the other hand, the second law says that the magnetic flux of the induced EMF is equal to the rate of change of flux. That means d phi by dt. So these are the two laws. Here you all have to remember the statement of these two laws. This is very important. Next is coil of area A with N turns. Induced current, and this is magnetic field away from viewer. Okay, so induced current is producing here due to the magnetic field B. Now Faraday's law says that EMF equal to N in minus N into d phi by dt. Minus can be said this was given by Lenz, so that's why it is called Lenz law. That means the rate of change of flux actually is opposite to the direction of the electromotive force. That means it actually opposes the change of the flux. That is the significance of this magnetic flux. All the notations are given here. N equal to number of turns, phi equal to B into a magnetic flux. This is the external magnetic field. External because here we are giving some external magnetic field. Okay, that's why. A is the area of the coil. The minus sign denotes Lenz law. EMF is the term for generated or induced voltage. A coil of wire moving into a magnetic field is one example of an EMF generated according to Faraday's law. The current induced will create a magnetic field which opposes the buildup of magnetic field of the coil. This is another figure, Faraday's law of induction. Now here the North Pole and this is the South Pole. Okay, North Pole and South Pole, and this is the coil. So when it rotates with a speed v, then what will happen? The magnetic field will be induced here, which is changing. Okay, with time. That's why what will happen? Some EMF, electromotive force, will be produced here, and that's why you can see here there is a bulb. Now see, if voltage is there and resistance is there, that means current will be there because V equal to I. So here the bulb is actually here, we can see it's lamping now. So the light we are getting in the bulb. So this is the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. This is simply an example of the application of the Faraday's law. Here is some actually application. That's why this slide is given. Here Faraday's law summarizes the ways voltage can be generated. Now changing area in magnetic field, CB is given. Therefore delta A by delta T equal to 0.2 meters per second. Now the number of turns here is 3. So we can easily here calculate V. Okay, this is the formula. Number of turn N into B into A. So here we can get the voltage generated here. That is minus 0.12 voltage. And same kind of another uh, application is given here. Moving magnet toward coil. So here N equal to 5 tons and here area is 0.002 meters. Delta B by delta T equal to 0.4 Tesla per second. That's why V generated equal to minus 0.002 meter square into 0.4 Tesla per second. So if we multiply, then finally we are getting minus 0.004 volt. And here this is the formula voltage generated equal to minus N delta BA by delta T. Changing magnetic flux. Here delta BA by delta T equal to 4. That means this one is given. So if we multiply with N, therefore 4 into 4 equal to 16. Very simple. That's why this is 16. Okay. Now when N equal to 2, then it is 8. So from this slide, what we came to know about the voltage generated means when the magnetic field, actually the formula is what we know, that E equal to minus d phi by dt. So the phi the formula is B into A, that means magnetic field into area. So that is d phi means change in magnetic flux. Okay, delta BA by delta T, and N is the number of ohms. So that's why minus N delta of BA by delta T, and changing magnetic flux, that is changing B. Okay, so if you know the magnetic induction B and the area A, then we can get the voltage generated here. So by this slide we can do some numerical also. Next is magnetic field. Magnetic field is here the same thing almost, induced current in a workspace, and here current in coil. Now this is the conductor and this is the wire. Okay, now when the current is passing through it, that means the direction of the current is changing. The direction of when the, as we know that when the current will be changing means the magnitude or direction, whatever. If the current changes here, then the magnetic field will be produced. This is nothing but the electromagnetic induction. Is due to the electricity, we are getting the magnetic field. That means due to the change in the current, we are getting the magnetic field. So this is called the magnetic induction. So by the figure, what we came to know, that by changing the current, we can get the magnetic field. Next, electromagnetic induction. The process by which a changing magnetic field in a conductor induces current in another conductor. That means when the magnetic field B is changing in a conductor, induces current. Since we know that the formula is equal to minus d phi by dt, so phi equal to B into A, that means B is changing. Obviously, area cannot be changed. So since B is changing, that's why the magnetic field is changing. So which induces current, because already I have shown you in a previous slide that we are getting the light, okay, in a bulb. Okay, that means from the voltage we are getting the current. So that's why it is written here that in a conductor it induces current in another conductor. Now consider a coil connected to a galvanometer as shown. You see here a galvanometer is connected here. First take a bar magnet and push it towards the coil. The galvanometer is deflected towards right. Now the withdraw back the magnet with its north pole going away from coil. Galvanometer is deflected towards left. So this is the observation which is given here. Place the magnet stationary at a point near to the coil, keeping its north pole towards the end B of the coil. The galvanometer shown no deflection. So this is total observation of the electromagnetic induction, where this is the conductor and our galvanometer is connected. And if we do this practical in real, then we can get this kind of observation. So what we discussed today, that first about Faraday's law, then we discussed about, this is a figure of the Faraday's law, and Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, first and second law. This statement we have to remember. Then coil of area A with n turns, and then Faraday's law, this is the application. Now this is very important. Here we have to remember the formula by which we can get voltage generated. This is very simple by electromagnetic induction. This is the in practical, if we do, then we can get this kind of observation. Now let me show you a video by which the concept will be more clear to all of you.
Electromagnetic induction. In this lesson, we shall learn about electromagnetic induction. The phenomenon of electromagnetic induction can be demonstrated by an experiment. Bind an insulated copper wire on a paper or wooden cylinder so as to form a coil in the form of a solenoid. Connect the two ends of the coil to a galvanometer and place a magnet close to it. The reading of the galvanometer is 0 when the magnet is stationary. The pointer of the galvanometer deflects towards the right when the north pole of the magnet is moved towards the solenoid. The galvanometer shows 0 reading when the motion of the magnet stops. This proves that as long as the magnet keeps moving, current flows in the solenoid. If the magnet is moved away from the solenoid, current flows in opposite direction in the solenoid. Thus, the galvanometer deflects towards the left. The deflection increases if the magnet is moved away with greater velocity. If the polarity of the magnet is reversed and the magnet is brought close to the solenoid, then current flows in an opposite direction. The galvanometer accordingly turns towards the left. Faraday observed that current flows in the coil only when there is a relative motion between the coil and the magnet. The direction of deflection in the galvanometer is reversed if the direction of motion is reversed. The current in the coil and the corresponding deflection of the galvanometer can be increased by using a strong magnet or by increasing the motion of the magnet. Increasing the area or the number of turns also creates a strong current in the coil. According to Faraday, when there is no relative motion between the magnet and the coil, the magnetic flux within the coil remains constant. So the galvanometer shows no deflection. But when the magnet is moved towards the coil or vice versa, the magnetic flux changes and an EMF is induced in the coil. If the circuit is complete, the EMF causes current to flow through it. Based on his experiment, Faraday formulated 2 laws of electromagnetic induction. Whenever there is a change in the magnetic flux linked with the coil, an electromotive force is induced. the magnitude of the induced EMF is directly proportional to the rate of change of the magnetic flux linked to the coil. The direction of the induced EMF depends on whether there is an increase or decrease in the magnetic flux. John Ambrose Fleming gave two rules to determine the direction of motion or the direction of induced current. While the left-hand rule is for electric motors, the right-hand rule is for generators. According to Fleming's right-hand rule, the thumb, forefinger, and middle finger of right hand are stretched perpendicular to each other. And if thumb represents the direction of movement of the conductor, forefinger represents the direction of the magnetic field, and the middle finger represents direction of the induced current. Lenz's law states that the direction of the induced EMF is such that it always tends to oppose the cause which produces it. Lenz's law obeys Newton's third law of motion, which states that to every action there is always an equal and opposite reaction. It also obeys the law of conservation of energy. It states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Therefore, the sum of all the energies of the system is a constant. Lenz's law is based on Faraday's law of induction. Lenz's law states that when an EMF is generated by a change in magnetic flux, according to Faraday's law, the polarity of the induced EMF is such that it produces a current whose magnetic field opposes the change which produces it. Correct?
So thank you for today. And if you have any question, please feel free to ask.